Coming up on AgweekTV, the biofuels industry reacts to being left out of the Biden administration's infrastructure package. South Dakota and the I-29 corridor continues to be the nation's hotspot for dairy. Minnesota doctors add a livestock business to their busy careers.
In a time when confinement is king, these folks still raise pigs outdoors.
And a year after COVID hits, Minnesota pushes vaccinations for food processing workers. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. The biofuels industry is expressing disappointment after being left out of the Biden administration's infrastructure package. The energy emphasis in the bill was on electric vehicles. Kirk Leeds with the Iowa Soybean Association says it was a missed opportunity by the White House because biofuels like biodiesel are a more ready solution to climate change.
There's a lot of conversations taking place with representatives in the House and certainly our senators across the Midwest about how do we add to the proposed package more funding for biofuels, ethanol, biodiesel certainly.
Leeds thinks there will be some improvement in the final infrastructure bill as it works through the legislative process in Washington and with input from Ag Secretary Vilsack. He says they hope that leads to more investment in biofuels in the package. President Joe Biden plans to nominate Robert Bonnie as Undersecretary for Farm Production and Conservation. He's currently USDA Deputy Chief of Staff and Senior Climate Advisor. Bonnie was Undersecretary for Natural Resources and Environment, overseeing conservation programs in the Obama administration. Washington insiders say he understands the need for a practical climate change solution for agriculture. Despite the continued cold weather in the Western Corn Belt, farmers did get some corn planted this last week. All the states in our region were in single digits for progress, but close to five-year averages, even a little ahead in North Dakota. Progress is actually ahead of last year. Nationally, corn planting is running at normal pace as well. However, spring wheat planting is ahead of average nationally and well ahead in states like South Dakota, despite some rain and snow in the region during the week. Sugarbeet growers are getting anxious to get out in the field since earlier planting will make a big difference in the yields they get this fall. But planting too early in the wrong conditions can lead to seeds not germinating or getting mudded into the ground, so growers should wait for soils to get a little warmer and drier. But the last time American crystal growers got started planting in April was 2017, and that was the last time they saw 30-ton yields as well.
Earlier we get them planted, the better the yield potential. When we get into fall, if we get the right kind of conditions, 1 week of growth can put on a ton of yield per acre. So every day counts when we're producing these things.
Revere says if planting is delayed too far into May, there could be additional disease challenges. The outlook for weed control this spring is dependent on how dry it is in your area and whether you were able to do any fall control program. SDSU's Paul Johnson says for farmers that receive moisture in the last couple of weeks, that will help activate pre-emergent herbicides. However, if soils stay dry, those products may not be as effective.
If we get a spring where we put a pre-emergence on and don't get moisture for a couple of weeks, then we can get some weeds emerge, and that pre-emergence isn't going to catch up to that.
Johnson says, however, the dry conditions did allow many farmers to get into prevented plant acres last fall to control weeds, either through tillage or with an herbicide application. This will provide a good start to their program this spring. Wisconsin has long been a leading dairy state, but South Dakota has also put itself on the map with its strong growth. Producers have nearly doubled cow numbers to 141,000 and milk production to over 3.1 billion pounds. That's attracted processing growth in the I-29 corridor, and there's talk of another new facility being announced soon. South Dakota has continually led the nation in milk production growth the last few years, making it the hotspot for dairying.
South Dakota has grown 35% in milk production the last 3 years. That gets noticed on a national stage.
That trend wasn't always true. Cow numbers dwindled in the late 1990s, threatening the processing sector.
And some of us recognize that if we don't have a processor, we won't have a a milk cow here.
So they focused on increasing production and recruiting dairies to retain existing processors and actually attracted new plants like Bell Brands to Brookings.
So we worked hard to have a environment where we could get new processors.
However, growing the dairy industry is a continual chicken and egg scenario between producers and processors.
Quite honestly, I would say we need more processing next. We are at a point where the plants are pretty full in this region.
He says he wouldn't be surprised to see a new processor, but says building new or even expanding must be carefully planned. New plants can cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
The investments that happen in stainless steel at the processing level, they're so big, you have to time the milk to come along with them.
However, past history shows South Dakota dairy producers have always stepped up.
We're capable of expanding our operations and growing the number of cows to fill that demand.
Plus, he says they continue to attract new dairies to the state with the business-friendly climate.
With our ability to grow corn, grow alfalfa, and all the raw ingredients needed to feed that dairy cow, it just makes it a very efficient place to do that.
So he thinks South Dakota will continue to be a dairy hotspot for the foreseeable future. Coming up on AgweekTV, bringing vaccines to critical workers to keep the food chain going.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you. From top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade. Featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a super coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
This is Dennis Beliski reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
The future of your farm depends on storage, and no one does storage solutions better than Gateway Building Systems. Gateway Building Systems is the #1 Brock bin dealer in the U.S., is locally owned and provides turnkey convenience with factory direct product, complete design services, and in-house construction. Gateway Building Systems will provide you with Brock solid bins, grain dryers, millwright services, lags, towers, and conveyors. Take advantage of discounts on our Brock solid bins. For more information, go online to gatewaybuilding.com.
Superior Grain Equipment offers you the industry's best dryer and grain handling equipment. So make the superior choice and get higher quality grains, test weights, and prices while using half the energy. Superior Grain Equipment.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy?
Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
Food processing was hit hard by the pandemic a year ago. Some plants had large outbreaks and the supply chain was disrupted, causing some food shortages. But things are returning to normal, thanks in part to vaccines. Noah Fish reports on a mass vaccine effort at one Southeast Minnesota cereal plant.
This vaccine clinic at the Post Foods manufacturing plant in Northfield was part of the Roll Up Your Sleeves Minnesota campaign. Governor Tim Walz launched the campaign this spring to get vaccines to workers in critical industries.
Food processing and food production were critical sectors right away in agriculture. To be able to be a year later and to be vaccinating people is really amazing, and it's great to see the efforts like we have here today to keep our workers safe.
About 450 people of the 700 Post employees in Northfield got their vaccines during the two-part program. The company was able to host the pop-ups under direction from local public health officials. The Rice County Public Health Director says it was crucial to prioritize vaccines for ag workers.
We know that the egg industry is very critical in Minnesota, and we also knew that our frontline workers had been working all along, coming to work elbow to elbow with co-workers, and we wanted to make sure that they were protected.
Post employee Dustin Allen is grateful for his chance to get the shot right at work.
I'm really excited. I'm ready for things to go back to normal and kind of feel like I'm doing my part to get there.
In Northfield, Minnesota, this is Noah Fish for AgWeek.
Minnesota ranks in the top 10 states for vaccine rollout, thanks in part to efforts like this. More than a year after the Smithfield pork plant closed due to COVID, the facility and processing industry are being criticized by a Sioux Falls newspaper for not doing enough to protect workers or food safety. COVID-19 among workers in various meatpacking facilities in the nation created a supply chain meltdown that devastated producers and the economy. Pork officials say the meat processing industry spent millions of dollars to provide additional personal protection equipment and retrofit plants with mechanisms to keep workers safe and healthy.
And it's just tremendous amount of new technology that's gone in and new safety protections for the employees. They're masked, they're wearing face shields, they're doing everything they can to keep these employees safe.
The temporary closure of several meat processors in the region backed up not just hogs, but cattle and poultry. This resulted in the euthanization of thousands of animals, which hurt producers and ultimately consumers. Hog production is mostly done in modern confinement these days. But in this week's AgWeek cover story, Mikkel Pates found one family that's still doing it outdoors.
Michelle, these folks in western South Dakota are raising pigs the old-fashioned way.
Most of the people stop along the road and take pictures, and I'm worried to death that somebody's going to get hit someday doing that.
What passersby find so interesting is the sight of scores of farrowing huts spread across 60 acres of pasture. Dolan Worth and his son Bart raise pigs outdoors year-round. It starts with farrowing.
We set the houses out in the spring, and we move them every time before we farrow in them, so they don't have so much chance of diseases. Most of the time, they'll just go and find their house and make their nest in there.
The houses give them shelter from bad weather and the freedom to roam as they choose. This style of production was common in this area in the 1970s and 1980s, but most of it ended in the 1990s in favor of larger, more concentrated confinement operations, and the land became more valuable for cropping. Dolan Worth remembers the early days when many producers from out here hauled pigs to a sale barn in Sioux Falls. They like those outside pigs.
They can take them and then they can feed them outside, or else they can take them and put them back in their barns without any problems. They just found it was a lot easier going in the barn instead of coming out with them.
In addition to the fur-to-finish outdoor pig operation, Worth is part of a cropping and cattle partnership with his brothers Danny and Dale. The Worths say that this style of raising hogs is labor-intensive but lower in capital costs, and they believe it results in a high-quality product that their customers will continue to appreciate for some time.
They like our outdoor pigs and they want them, so it'd be hard to just quit altogether.
If you like your pork raised the old-fashioned way, they still do it here. For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Gettysburg, South Dakota.
You can read more in the next AgWeek magazine or at agweek.com. Ahead on AgweekTV, 2 Minnesota doctors add raising sheep to their busy lives. And later, how a North Dakota ag equipment company thrives in a small rural town.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
Challenges. We all face them at some time. But it seems that ag has seen its fair share over the past few years. Has your farming operation been able to stand the challenges? If not, maybe it's time to talk to the risk management specialist at Martinson Ag. We can help you make the sound decisions to help your operation weather the storm. Martinson Ag, your one-stop shop for crop insurance, livestock insurance, and marketing. We are here to take your operation to the next level.
Salty soils? Meet Calcine, one of the quickest and most effective way to fix salty soils. It's natural, it's easy to use, and most importantly, it works. On sodic soils, on saline soils, on all soils. Put calcium to work leaching salt below the root zone and out of your field, resulting in less compaction, better irrigation, improved health, and lots of these guys for your soil. And higher quality forage, greater yields, and lower bottom line production costs for you. With more than 20 years of use in the industry and a proven track record of bringing life back to challenging soils, you can trust Calcine to ensure your fields are their most productive. Calcine, let's create healthier soils. To learn more about how Calcine can improve the productivity of your fields, contact Jim Erickson or visit calcine.us.
Go beyond the headlines with an AgWeek membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AgWeek and AgweekTV.
Another cold week in the region kept some farmers out of the field. When will we get a warm up? Here's our AgriWeather outlook.
What happened to our spring? I'm sure that's what many of us are asking after, again, we did cool down after that milder start that we did have to the month of April. And since then, a good chunk of the lower 48 has really cooled off. And let's take a look at the spring leaf index here. As far as those first leaves on those trees and plants are concerned, those from Oklahoma up towards the Tennessee River Valley here, this bluer shaded area, that's where the first leaves were about 2 to 3 weeks behind seasonal average. Meanwhile, notice areas up to the north, parts of the central northern plains, parts of the upper Midwest, and parts of the Great Lakes area, dealing with some leaves that were coming out again 2 to 3 weeks above schedule, all thanks to that milder start to the spring months that we did have late March and into the start of April. But notice how our cool down mid-April has put the pause on leaves really popping up across the parts of North Dakota, parts of the northern tier of Minnesota here. Meanwhile, the southern tier of Minnesota, much of South Dakota, the first leaves coming about 1 to 2 weeks ahead of schedule. But as we have cooled down, areas right along the South Dakota and Nebraska state line here, southern tier of Rapid City, dealing with those spring leaves about 1 to 2 weeks behind schedule now. And if we see this cooler pattern persisting, we could see a slower progression again to that spring leaf peepage as we go into late April and into the start of May. Now let's talk about our precipitation now. Again, much of the area is dry. We really still could use that moisture. We've been into a somewhat La Nina period, but there is some hope here as we go into the late spring and parts of the summer months here of an 80% chance of it going neutral. Not La Nina, not El Nina at all. And this is why we're dealing with still those cooler water temperatures across the Pacific Ocean here. But notice these yellow shaded areas, that's where some more milder water ocean temperatures are starting to show up here. And that is some good news, as that will eventually again help our jet stream out hopefully and give us some much needed moisture. As again, this does affect our jet stream and it does increase trade winds. And as that it does affect that jet stream, again, we can have wild pattern changes throughout the jet stream period. Overall, let's take a look at April 6th through the 19th precipitation. Notice here we had a big swath of precipitation that did fall across parts of Minnesota here, far eastern North Dakota's picking up some of that moisture. Meanwhile, western and central North Dakota not really picking up much moisture at all, where we really could use that moisture. Still under that extreme drought conditions out across the western and central parts of the Dakotas. And as we take a look at the forecasted rainfall, the bulk of it's going to stay well off to our south, and much of the moisture that will fall across the northern plains, upper Midwest, looks to impact parts of the eastern Dakotas and much of Minnesota here as we go throughout the next week. And overall, we're going to see a wilder temperature pattern, all thanks to our jet stream, times of mild air and times of cooler air this upcoming week.
We have products that no other companies have. That gives us a bit of an advantage and a bit of an edge, and it provides some security to our customer base that we've been here, we're here to stay, and we want to still provide these new innovations to the customers today. It's cold granulated products where we're putting together multiple nutrients. We've got products in our Micro Essentials lineup that contain sulfur and zinc, and we also have products on our potash side which contain boron, which is a newer product for us, which is called Aspire.
At Trans Systems, every day is a great day to haul beets. Our family-owned business moves more beets than anyone in the world. We enjoy good work and good pay, and many of us have been here for decades because it's a place where our opinions are heard and our accomplishments are seen. We're your home every day and can take summers off. Here, our safety and yours matter most. Trans Systems, a sweet haul in the Red River Valley since 1983.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Ag Week brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join me, Mike Speaker, from the Ag Week editorial team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you are involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the Ag Week podcast is the show for you.
A young Minnesota family is putting their old dairy barn back to work, but instead of cows, it now houses sheep. Emily Beal has more on why doctors Paul and Josie Severson decided to go back into livestock, even though they both have busy careers.
The Seversons have farmed this west central Minnesota land since 1894, and Paul is the 5th generation on it. The Severson family also raises 1,200 acres of corn and soybeans. Paul's dad sold off the dairy cows in 2003, and after that, he and Paul partnered on Holstein steers. Then recently, Paul and his wife Josie decided to add sheep in what had been the dairy barn.
We wanted something that the kids could see moms and babies and learn a little bit more about life than we probably would have with just feeding steers. And so we started with sheep because they were small.
They have about 150 sheep, but that's not all. In addition to the farm, animals, and raising 3 young children, Severson's full-time job is a veterinarian, and his wife Josie is a family practice doctor. So although they're busy, they enjoy the change of scene at home.
I feel like I've got to be productive, and so it's nice to have something to do and get outside, and none of us sit around very good, so it's nice to have a task.
Josie didn't grow up on a farm, but she enjoys helping out and sharing her own ideas.
I just love the outlet of getting outside to do chores and bale hay and build fence, things that I had never done prior to being married to Paul.
In addition to being a great learning experience for their own kids, they welcome visitors as well.
A lot of people from town want to see baby lambs. They can come see what a real working farm looks like. For some of these kids, it's real eye-opening.
So despite the busy schedule, Seversons say they wouldn't have it any other way. In Clontarf, Minnesota, this is Emily Beal for AgWeek.
The Seversons sell their lambs for meat through Dakota Wool and Lamb Co-op. Local businesses are a lifeblood of any community, but there are some challenges to being successful in a small town, including finding enough employees. Cheyenne Tooling and Manufacturing of Cooperstown, North Dakota makes an array of ag products, including ditchers, augers, and attachments. It employs just over 60 people, making it the 2nd largest employer in Cooperstown. Owner Tim Eggert says their workers enjoy being part of the community.
from a business perspective, these small communities seem to have such a special niche around work ethic and people that have pride and that care coming to work. We really enjoy it here.
Eggert says business slowed down for a few months at the beginning of the pandemic, but it has more than come back to previous levels. Still ahead, some Minnesota FFA students earn high honors.
At North Star Ag, we're more than your short-line machinery dealer. We're also full service, and we're farmers first. That means we know it's not about what's best, but what's best for your farm. Whether you're planting, growing, or harvesting, we're there for all your equipment, parts, and service needs. And we've been doing it since 2009, with the largest inventory and availability in the area. Check us out at northstar-ag.com or call us at 701-361-4790.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
The planter service technicians at Titan Machinery have the training, experience, and genuine Case IH parts and service to get the most out of your planters. From pre-season tune-ups to precision planting upgrades and major overhauls, the knowledgeable professionals at Titan Machinery will maximize your planting productivity. And before storing your equipment after the season, contact your Titan Machinery dealer about post-season uptime planter specials and genuine Case IH parts and service. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH and precision planting specialists.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. The 92nd Minnesota State FFA Convention was held this week and was a mix of virtual sessions, live recognition, and interactive state competition finals. The live recognition included the state FFA officer surprising major award winners like state star in agri-science Braden Graybrook of the Austin FFA chapter. He grew up on a family farm, and his supervised agriculture experience project involves using farm data science programs to be profitable on the farm.
And I'm planning on farming for my future, so when I can start now and gain my information, I'll be able to be more profitable in the future.
He was chosen from the 264 high school ag education students that received the state FFA degree this year. The convention also included in-person classroom activities for chapters across the state. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Have yourself a great and safe week.